have the Ayatollah of fantasy rock and roller with us today, Adam Rank. How you doing, Rank?
They look great in person, and I just can't wait till next year where we can pack it full of 25,000.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I didn't know it was Ball Guys Day. It was being ranked. I mean, how can you lose?
This is the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast.
Welcome back once again. This is the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast powered by Fantasy Points Media Group, and this is episode 95. We are heading into week 6, and we've got you covered from kickoff to, you know what, those Monday morning miracles, those Monday evening miracles. Tera, you were a recipient of one of those here. You had a lot of Ravens, a lot of Colts going on. Tell us about your miracle on Monday Night Football.
It was amazing. I came into it accepting like, okay, well, I've lost this game. There's no possible way that I could win it. I was not expecting that much out of Jonathan Taylor or Marquise. So very crazy, very exciting. I literally felt like I was having chest pains at the end of the game, trying to will it into overtime. Yeah, aside from like maybe like a Super Bowl victory for the Packers, I can't say that there's been a more exciting game for me before. It was really good. Really good.
Isn't that that's the best part about football and overtime. It's free fantasy points. By the way, head over to fantasypoints.com, enter promo code 21Vipers10 and get that 10% off that subscription to fantasypoints.com.
Company man.
It was a good way to slide that in there.
Yes.
But no, seriously, whenever a game goes to overtime, especially on Monday night, if you're in that position where you're trailing, you're getting all these free points. You're getting excited about this, especially if you're in that trail position. I saw someone on Twitter that went into Monday Night Football down 111 points. I think it was on a Matt Berry tweet. Down 111. He had like Mark Andrews, Jonathan Taylor, I think, and Lamar Jackson all going. And he ended up winning by like 20 points when it was all said and done. It was absolutely insane. I don't know what the scoring system was, but you know what? You've got to be feeling pretty darn good about yourself. And on the other side, you know, it's love and hate when it comes to fantasy football. So if you're on that other side of a Monday Night Miracle, I feel you. I really do. I want to turn the floor over here right off the get-go because there's some big news coming out of Vegas. John Gruden is gone, and I kind of want to get your guys' opinions on this. So, Major, I'm going to start with you. And how do you feel about how this all shook out?
I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. I have Gruden as one of my duds for the week. But just real quick, I'm pro freedom of speech. So at first it was like, okay, it's cool. He apologized, whatever's 10 years ago, whatever. You know, I'm pretty sure they all do it. So I wasn't really tripping too much. But then he had that apology that was just so like, meh. It's like, I'm not talking about it anymore. I'm like, wait, what? You should be talking about it. Like, it's a thing. So, and then the next day, everything came out with more stuff. It's a lot. So I think he had to go. I think the Raiders got out of a really bad contract. So I think it's going to help that program in the future. So I think it's going to work out for all parties, I guess, except for Gruden.
I think as a Raiders fan, my highlight was when you go to isgrudengone.com, there's that website. Remember, I think we've even pulled this up on the show earlier. It had the Adam Schefter tweet on there, putting a final end. I think he was still owed about $62 million. Tera, what are your thoughts?
You know, if it had only been the first email, I think a lot of people would have looked past it. Like, okay, like we can move on, and like it was in the past, one thing. But it just kind of snowballed in a unbelievable way. He hit every single thing that a human could possibly hit. Like he left no stone unturned. Yeah. So yeah, kind of crazy. And I'm thinking he kind of saw it coming just because of the connection to Washington. He had to have known what his involvement with that was, and that there was some kind of connection there. So yeah, just insanity. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out for the Raiders in terms of if their offensive scheme is going to change at all, if they're going to continue down the same path, if we're going to maybe see a little bit more Josh Jacobs. I don't know. Maybe, it'll be interesting to watch.
Well, and I really think that now, I really believe that Gruden was calling the shots, especially when it came to the draft. You got a brilliant mind there in Mike Mayock. And, we watched him on NFL Network for years before taking that Raiders job. I think we all kind of respected what he had to say when it came to certain draft picks. I don't think he was pulling the strings come draft pick. I think those were Gruden's guys. So we'll see what this Raiders draft looks like in the next couple of years, if Mayock's even afforded that opportunity, because we don't know. I don't think we're done seeing this all shake out after just 1 week. And I think it really did affect the players in that locker room heading into that game against the Bears. So,
one last thing before you move on. I'm afraid to see what's going to happen on the other end of this email with the Redskins. Like, if this is like the beginning of it, like there's a lot of stuff to uncover in that organization. So it's going to be a long season.
Well, and I heard earlier today, I was watching a good friend of ours of the show there, Jim Trotter, who we had on the show. He was talking on NFL Network, and, he spoke very eloquently about the whole situation, and he hit on some major points that I really think you need to go over to Jim Trotter's Twitter there and kind of look at some of those videos that he put out there, because he said it as well as anyone possibly could. And I think everyone needs to take a listen to that. Now, with that said, we had some boo-boos, we had some injuries, we had some more carnage in week 1 there. Starting with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, MCL, looks like he's on the IR. Kansas City's being linked to Marlon Mack, sniffing around there. Tara, thoughts Marlon Mack as a Chief, if it comes to fruition?
Very interesting. I'm not surprised. That when I was doing my waivers this week, a lot of people would have Daryl I made a tweet about this, about there's too many Daryls and Damiens and Williams. Daryl Williams. A lot of people would have had Daryl Williams as their number 1. And my problem with Daryl Williams is that, yes, we know CEH is going to be out for a certain amount of time. He's on IR now, but I wasn't, how much volume are they going to give him? We know Jarrett McKinnon sometimes slips in there. I know he hasn't really been active prior to this. And again, there's no reason that they might not bring someone else in. A little bit of an interesting situation where I don't think they're going to fully turn things over to Daryl Williams. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
I think you're right. I think Daryl Williams' role is Daryl Williams' role. I think he's that 5-yard in guy. He's going to get some reps outside of that. He may see a slight bump in touches, maybe up to a 35% touch kind of percentage there, give or take. Jet McKinnon there, he's going to play a factor as well. Now, Major, flipping it over, you watched that Monday Night Football game. You saw the Ravens. You saw the Colts. Did it look like the Colts are maybe showcasing Marlon Mack a little bit, or do you think they really think Marlon Mack's there to help the team?
I think you're right with the first one there. I think they're kind of shopping him around a little bit right now. I think they need some help, and they're going to use him as a piece in a trade soon. So I think you're absolutely right about that.
Isn't the trade deadline in the NFL like one of those events that gets you all excited? You're all pumped for it, and then nothing really ever happens. Like, you get really excited about this. It's like your fantasy football trade deadline. You expect it to be like that. You get all excited. You think all these big moves are going to take place, and really nothing ever happens. And I don't want to say that. I think this is the year we're going to see something, because I thought that last year as well. But that's coming up as well. Maybe next week we'll talk a little bit of trades, maybe some NFL trades, little fantasy football trades. There's a little foreshadowing taking place there.
Nice.
Now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was not the only running back to take a serious injury. Tara, what do you think of Saquon Barkley's ankle? Looks like he's about 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm a little frustrated with that one, just because he was showing so well coming off of his big injury from last year, and it looked like he was getting a decent amount of volume. His involvement with the pass game, very promising for Saquon owners, but yeah, unfortunately, and I hate it for him too, because people are saying, oh well, you expect this with Saquon, but it wasn't really kind of a injury prone situation. It was just kind of a weird accident that could have happened to literally anybody. Bad luck. So yeah, I do like the backup running back situation over there. I know that maybe Devontae Booker is not the most appealing waiver ad in the world, but from a pass perspective, we do know that Saquon was heavily involved in the pass game. And Devontae Booker, you do have to go back a few years for it, but there is evidence of him being a good pass catching back. So he can fulfill that role. I think he'll be able to fill in very nicely as a waiver ad.
I know we're going to talk about Devontae Booker a little bit later in the show, but even Wayne Gallman last year, when he came in relief of Saquon Barkley for that 6-7 week period there, he was pretty good. I think he was about 4.3 or 4.6 yards per carry. So that's something to keep in mind when we go into the latter of the show here. Now, another guy there, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see Juju Smith-Schuster doing any Fortnite dancing because he is out with a shoulder injury that looks like it may actually be the entire season potentially there. Thoughts there quickly on that? Major.
Yeah, man. He was actually starting. That whole offense was starting to come on a little bit, and kind of same thing with Saquon. It's like they were about to come on, and all of a sudden they get hurt. So, losing Juju for the year, especially this is his big contract year. He went back so he can ball and then get paid. So I hate when that happens. But I think someone will still take a chance on him later on. But it's just sad to see like the star players going down like that.
And speaking of star players going down, I know both of you were high in previous weeks, last week and even week 3, on one, Daniel Jones. Did he look like he definitely got the worst end of that tackle from Jabril Cox there? Quick thoughts on him and Taysom Hill with a concussion as well last week.
Yeah, I hate to see that. But, unfortunately with the concussion, I mean, he probably won't play this week, but it's not a long-term thing. So I am still in on Daniel Jones.
Major, you still feeling it?
No, not really. I was just experimenting for that week, and he kind of proved me right, or wrong, I guess, because I was on his bandwagon for a bit. The rushing yards was a good added factor to him, but again, just watch the whole Giants team got hurt that game, so it's not just Saquon and Daniel Jones. So it's interesting to see how they're going to move on from all these injuries this last week.
It's not even just last week. It was Shepard and Slayton the week before.
Right.
This team has had some pretty bad luck. And, credit them. They're playing like pros out there, regardless of who's out there, whether it's Colin Johnson, whether it's John Ross, Kadarius Toney. This offense seems to still be able to move the ball, which I think is interesting there. Now, I don't know if Mike Glennon is going to be able to continue to move the ball, but he came in and he was serviceable in relief of
not so much
Daniel Jones. I mean, he definitely got that. I think he had that rushing touchdown, did he not, at one point?
He wasn't horrible. He had a decent amount of volume, but it was against a pass-friendly situation. So he's not someone I'm really looking towards in the near future. But yeah, it'll be good when they get Daniel Jones back.
Yeah, Glennon is Glennon. He can't hide that. So it's you're gonna have to wait a week before. Hopefully he can get back in 2 weeks. Hopefully it's not a bad concussion.
I still want to see Davis Mills and Mike Glennon have a neck off. And see how that plays out. Sticking in New York, Tera's hot prediction, her bold prediction last week was Zach Wilson in London against the Atlanta Falcons would be a top 10 quarterback. Now, let me just pull up the comments section here. He had a whopping 8.98 fantasy points. He was last week. Were there even 30 teams playing last week? I don't know, but if there was, Tera, explain yourself.
I don't really have an explanation, man. He just really let me down. There's no explanation for it. But you know what? This is the second time that a quarterback that should have done well against Atlanta actually didn't. So maybe it's that I'm underestimating Atlanta's defense a little bit. Maybe it's not as something that you can aggressively attack as it seems. Maybe.
That's good deductive reasoning right there. I like the way you're thinking.
You know what? I'm gonna have to start deducting points for really bad bold predictions.
You will have no points, Matt. If you did that, you will have 0 points.
Hey, you know what? We were good this week. We were good this week. I mean, when you make predictions like Arizona will lose to the 49ers team led by Trey Lance, where it's literally like a 50% the chance, and you still miss on it, I mean, that should be a 1 point deduction. Tera, thoughts?
But in my defense, it's actually 2. I said 1. Trey Lance is going to play. At that time, it was still kind of 50-50 that Jimmy G will be coming back. We don't know. So I went on a limb and I said that, and I thought the 49ers would win. It didn't work.
I don't know whose horse I want to jump or want to back in this situation. Just because I might want to take the major route and having like a give me bold prediction.
It's a major route now
in the future. So.
When did I become like?
So you know what? I'm not gonna denounce it. I'll allow it.
I'll give myself.
Well, I think it was safe to say that Trey Lance, although he still threw for 192 yards, he ran for 89 yards, 16 carries. Yeah. You know, that's too much. I mean, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of the game, but it didn't quite seem like he was processing those second and third reads as quickly as you would like him to. He looked like a rookie quarterback, and that's going to come.
Was a little too fast for him. Yeah, and that goal line, when he couldn't extend out and got just like folded up, I think that's probably where he got hurt as well. So I think he's going to be out for a week or so now.
And since Calvin's not here to defend himself because he's over at DLF doing Taco Tuesday, his prediction was, for the better word, wrong compared to mine. Let's put it that way. I was more right than Calvin. Hey, don't be buzzing me. It's truth.
No, that was for Calvin. That wasn't for you.
He went, and it wasn't a terrible prediction. I'll give him this. It was bold. It was ballsy. It was out there. He predicted, against my prediction, that Michael Carter would outscore Nick Chubb and or Kareem Hunt. Now, Carter scored a touchdown in that London game. Man, I can't believe we actually watched that London game because I had to watch it for the Zach Wilson meltdown and the Michael Carter thing to make sure that I was right on par. Michael Carter was the RB24 with 14.8 fantasy points. Not a bad day. You know, Nick Chubb was the RB9 with 24 fantasy points. Kareem Hunt was the RB7 with 25.9 fantasy points. By the way, that's both RB1 status. Just going to throw that out there. So Calvin's not here to really make fun of. It was a bold prediction. I'll give him that. So I won't bold prediction. What do I do to you all the time? Shame you?
Yeah. Prediction.
Yeah, I won't prediction shame. I won't prediction shame Calvin there. But now we got to go to mine. I need to get a ruling from the people on this.
No, you don't.
Because this was so close. It was bold. I put a lot into this one. Both running backs, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, were RB1s. So that's 1 point each. So that's 2 points. Both scored touchdowns. So that's another 2 points. That's 4 points right there, right? That's 4 points. Nick Chubb had 170 yards total there. Running the ball, passing, and like I said, 24 fantasy points. Kareem Hunt was 11 yards short of 100 yards. My actual prediction was Chubb and Hunt would both be RB1s, both would score touchdowns, and both be over 100 yards of scrimmage. I was 11 yards short of putting 6 pieces together in one puzzle.
You know what you get for that?
Yeah, I know. I'm going to call that, my record instead of being 0-4, that's going to go to 5-5 now on that prediction. No, I'm just joking. But I'm just saying, it was out there. It was bold. There's a lot of moving parts to it, and it almost paid off. Man, that Chargers-Browns game was fun to watch. So we all have to say that. That was fun. Especially if you didn't have a dog in that fight. Sorry about the Browns pun there. But, yeah, good stuff there. Studs and duds of the week. Tara, who was a stud? Who was a dud? What do you got?
Before we move on to that, I don't know if I was sleeping when you made this bold prediction or what, but I want to go back and look at every single week and see how close that was to happening in the prior 4 weeks, because I don't know. It feels like they had both men RB1s before, and I want to go back and I want to fact check. I'm sorry. I want to see just how bold this was.
Show.
I'm sorry.
Don't check facts here, lady.
I got to do it. I'm going to.
Her OCD is like, I got to check the facts.
So we've lost Tara for the show here now. She's going down the rabbit hole of fact checking.
I'm going to go back and look at every single week. Right. Don't worry, guys. It'll be quick. I fact check so much. I'll be just zooming through it. It'll be so quick. But on to the studs and duds of the week. So you guys went at this before me, and you took my studs of the week. So I went with Kadarius Toney, who I think is well deserving of being a stud for the week. He caught 10 of 13 targets, 189 yards, absolute insanity. He was out there if you watch the game, the man wasn't, just heading straight down and catching long balls and just outrunning people. He looked fantastic, and defenders were confused. He was out there looking like, I don't know, maybe the wide receiver version of Lamar Jackson that I watched on Monday. He just looked fantastic. And so I'm really he's my stud of the week. I'm very happy for him because he was a guy who got just a ridiculous amount of criticism for being drafted in the first round. Giants got a ridiculous amount of criticism for that decision. And I'm happy to see it's working out. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out moving forward when the other receivers get healthy and how much he'll be involved. But he looked fantastic. And then my dud of the week, I'm sorry, it's Derek Carr. Yeah, that was a very tragic situation in terms of his performance. I was expecting a lot more. I've been kind of disappointed with him in the direction he's been heading. I just expected a lot more volume out of him. He finally had one of those games where you just look at him and you're like, yeah, Derek Carr. So yeah, he was my dud of the week. I expected more. I just expected more.
And one thing with Tony, can we have Tony as like the stud if you get kicked out the game for fighting? There's no punishment there.
No, when you catch 10 passes, 189 yards, I think that definitely classify as studly.
That is not a great example for the youth.
Didn't the Giants brawl preseason anyway? So I mean, isn't that like
I love the fight. I'm just trying to...
Isn't that their culture?
Wow, that's the culture now. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's all good. All right. For my
Great. Now you got Bob fact checking too.
Perfect. I didn't even have to do it.
That doesn't even count. Bob could be making this up because he knows I'm not going to check on it.
Bob is making it up for sure. That was way too fast.
Hey, Regina.
All right, for my stud of the week, I'm going with the College of the Canyons alum, Hollywood Brown. 9 receptions for 125 yards, 2 TDs. And the last one went for the game winner. I went to College of the Canyons myself. The program disbanded and came back. I came on the second year, so I feel like I kind of walked so Hollywood can run. You get what I'm saying? So because of me, you have a Hollywood. So I'm going to take some credit for everything he does. And it is what it is. So a little pat on my back, brush off the shoulders. But dud of the week goes to John Gruden. We spoke about it a little bit earlier at the top of the show. I'm not gonna read this whole thing I had, but it's just ridiculous, man. Like, we need to hold the coaches accountable, just like we hold the players. What's going on with the coaches this year? We had one coach getting lap dances in the middle of the game, not traveling with the team, and then we got this guy, like Tara said, he just did the trifecta. He went, racial slur, misogynistic, and he went gay slur. He just hit the trifecta. So we need to get this thing together. I don't know what's going on with is it Goodell? Who's the commissioner now? I don't remember anymore. But yeah, we need to get this together.
We also talked about.
Yeah, what's going on? Like, the players are all kind of good this year, and now it's all the corporate, the general managers, and all those other people are all getting in trouble. So I don't know. I don't know. I know it's 10 years ago, but can we teach a new dog old tricks, or new dog old tricks? I don't know how the saying goes, but I think you are who you are in your 30s and 40s. So he said it's not him, but evidence is saying otherwise. So, and again, I can't wait to see what happens with the Washington football team when all that stuff comes out. So I don't know. It's just too much right now. I'm stressed out. Over to you, Matt.
Yeah, and since Regina's here catching the show live, we're talking Baltimore Ravens. We're talking studs Marquise Brown, and we've got to talk about the one and the only Lamar Jackson. The Ravens were 0-17. in trailing the fourth quarter by 15 points or more. Scratch that off the list. I think the Indianapolis Colts were 120-0 when leading in the fourth quarter by 14 points. 120-0. Scratch that off there. It was on like Monday Night Football. Oh, no, it was on the radio, on XM radio. I was catching it. I was listening. Yeah, so that was going on. Lamar Jackson can't be a quarterback. Lamar Jackson can't throw. Lamar Jackson can't hit the deep ball. Lamar Jackson's not accurate. We've heard it all. 85% completion percentage. 85. I can't even hit 85% of the time on a wall 10 feet away from me. Okay? I can't even get that. You know what? I can even probably slap my wall in what I think is the same spot. I bet you I couldn't even do the same spot 85% of the time. That's how good Lamar Jackson was. And that's 37 of 43, 442 points, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Of the Ravens' 528 yards, he accounted for 502 of them. If you factor in the 62 yards rushing on top of that, that is stud status. Lamar Jackson, we salute you over here. Now we go from something good to something bad, and I'm going to go for the double whammy here. I'm going to go with 2 guys that we absolutely love on this show, DJ Moore and his 8.8 fantasy points, and Terry McLaren, his 8.6 fantasy points that rank them at wide receiver 49 and wide receiver 50, respectfully. DJ Moore, how could you do this to me? You were going against the Eagles this week, and you put up 5 catches for 42 yards and only 7 targets? Come on, we were all starting to buying into Sam Darnold and buying into this Panthers offense, even without McCaffrey. Total letdown. Terry McLaren, we love you. There's nothing not to love about Terry McLaren. He's one of the best wide receivers in the game. 4 catches, 46 yards, 11 targets against the Saints. That ain't right. Good news is, the targets were there. The production wasn't. And that's why you're on my duds list for week 5.
Before we move on from your studs and duds, I kind of want to go back to the studs for both of you guys, Marquise and Lamar, and kind of do a shameless plug for all of us, since it is on this YouTube channel for the Dynasty Vipers. If you go over to my playlist and my 30 for 30 players list, you will find both of those guys on there, because I did in fact think that the Ravens would be investing more into the pass and let Lamar be a quarterback and let him thrive. And it's so awesome to see the success that he's having, the success that Hollywood is having. They just look fantastic out there. And I just continue to see that moving forward. It'll be great when Bateman gets out there as well. The amount of yardage that they have, it's kind of crazy. What's also crazy is that's the yardage goal that Urban Meyer said that he wants to hit on a regular basis for Jacksonville. So interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, and it's going up for Baltimore. This is just the start for this Ravens offense, especially in the passing game, because we're going to get on to Bateman a little bit later, because
can't wait to see
I told you to go out there. Like last week, I said, go out there and get Rashad Bateman. He was on my waiver wire list. He's my guy I want to get ahead of everybody else, because when he gets in there, this offense is going to go to another level. So before we move on here, full disclosure, we like to talk about our hits. We totally disclose our misses here each and every week. Tara, what do you got for hits and misses?
So one of my hits was Daryl Henderson. He's the clear lead back. I mean, obviously, very few running backs can get 100% of the work. So Sonny Michel's got to come in every now and then, but it is very confirmed, very clear that Daryl Henderson is the guy, and he looks fantastic out there. He looks like somebody that is deserving of that RB1 spot. And so, I mean, it's really awesome after all the negativity around him and Cam Akers and whether or not the Rams actually believed in him. So it's really good to just, see him succeed. And he just looked fantastic this week. Another hit was Cordero Patterson. At this point, I don't know if that's, considered a hit, because, I just expect him to be fantastic every single week, no matter what. But it's really awesome to see the production that he was able to put forth as well. And then my misses, kind of weird misses. Myles Gaskin, I predicted to stay away from him. Awful. It's over. And he came around and had a fantastic game. I was very surprised on that. On the opposite end, I thought that Jalen Waddle was going to have a fantastic game against that Tampa Bay secondary, and he so did not. So yeah, very disappointing miss on there for me with that one. I really don't understand why that headed that direction. Very confusing.
And I'm gonna for the next direction, I'm gonna head over to Major here, and you talk about your hits and misses.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with my unsung hero from last week, and shout out to Bob. I'm going with Kyle Pitts, 9 catches, 119 yards. I predicted that he was gonna have his breakout game, and he did. I think I need to change my name to Major Damas one more time because I'm getting back on track. I don't know what happened, but the one I really want to talk about, I don't want to brush over Kyle Pitts too fast, but last week, if you remember, Tara kind of rolled her eyes at me a little bit when I talked about Khalil Herbert. She was like, "Oh, Major, you like those third string running backs?" Haha, laughed, rolled her eyes at me. I remember that. I remember it hurt my feelings. So he balled out 18 carries, 75 yards. I think this week he's gonna get a touchdown. So Tara, that's in your face. Okay?
You did. You got me on that one. You got me. Not Ramondre Stevenson, but you did get me on that one.
Guru.
And as Major talks about his awesomeness and Major Damas and stuff, we go from Major Damas to Major Dumbass. What were your misses this week?
You're transitioning. You're pretty good to segue there, buddy. So I missed on who I missed on. Oh, I missed on Daniel Jones. He was what my player you need to start next. The player you need to start. I guess is that whatever. The player we need to start. That was him. I put Daniel Jones. He got hurt. And also on my show on Sundays, Extra Points on Fantasy Points every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. I talked about Barkley and how he actually was coming on and he was starting to look good. His lateral movement was good and his acceleration, everything was back. And he gets hurt walking back to the huddle, or was he walking to the sideline? And his ankle swelled up as the size of like a basketball. It was the nastiest thing I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, I don't know if we can call him injury prone yet, or maybe we can, because just walking back to the huddle, you injure yourself and you're out for weeks now. Just walking, that's a problem. So yeah, man, Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, man, you give me one of these. Sorry, guys.
I have no room to judge Saquon Barkley walking back and getting hurt because I sneeze and I throw my back out. That's where I'm at with my life right now. So
but
Barkley,
you're 100 years old.
I totally feel you on this one. And then further to that, is it body shaming when Saquon Barkley's ankle is bigger than my quads? Is that I don't know how I should feel about that.
Yeah,
it wasn't swollen. It was just the muscle.
Anyway, speaking of eyes being rolled and this and that, I distinctly remember looking at each and every one of your reactions when I said fade Tyreek Hill last week. I remember looking at that and kind of getting those little weird little nods, okay, what's this talking about? The crazy guy's talking again. He also just predicts all these weird things. But if you look into what we were talking about, I went in and talked about Juju and his 52 yards receiving in week 1 against this Bills defense. That was the top stealer. Waddle's 48 in week 2. Mclaren 62 in week 3. Brandon Cooks 47 in week 4. Tyreek Hill 7 for 63 in a big time matchup after he went for 170 the last time these two teams met. This is a huge hat tip, whatever you want to call. The Bills showed up and they proved to be the real deal in this matchup. And I just wanted to say, you're still going to start him. I wasn't saying not to start him. I said, temper those expectations because this defense, the secondary for the Bills is legitimate in what they do and how they shut down those wide receiver ones. They've done it through 5 weeks or 4 weeks. So week 5 shouldn't have shocked you that they shut them down once again. It's more of a pattern. It's who they are. So that, and I also was big on Dawson Knox. That kind of went big. I think everyone's getting big on Dawson Knox. So I can't even take credit for that. I think we all saw that game coming. We've seen Dawson Knox the last couple of games. I will, but now I got to talk about where I messed up. First off, like Tara, Myles Gaskin, and I take even a bigger L because I think I even typed Myles Gaskins multiple times throughout the week. So I am one of those guys that put the S in Gaskin. So I will take the L on that one. And I will also take the L on the Cortland Sutton. I downplayed him. I put Tyler Boyd in over him. That ankle injury was really concerning for me. Getting Teddy Bridgewater back from the concussion You know, he didn't practice really at all week, so I really faded Cortland Sutton. All he did was go out there on one ankle, basically, 7 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown. So, Cortland Sutton, I will eat some crow to you on this one. Round the horn here right now, because you know where I feel the Bills, they are the real deal for me. I really think when you look at this, I don't think that the Chiefs are the big brother in the AFC anymore. You've got the Ravens there. You've got the Bills. You got the Chargers. I mean, you've got I don't know what the standings are right in front of me, but the Chiefs are last place in the AFC West.
They lost to each one of them already, right?
No, they've only played the Chargers. They've lost to the Ravens, I believe. They've lost to the Chargers.
Gotcha.
And now they've lost to the Bills.
Yeah.
So make of that what you will. They've lost to the 3 teams that are all 4-1. And guess what? We get some action this week because there's a pretty big game going on that's going to prove a little something in the AFC championship, possibly a little bit later. But yes, for me, Regina, they are real. The Bills are real. Tara, are they real?
I do think so. Mm-hmm.
Major?
I am with you.
All right, because we're going to cue this up because like I said, we're going into our games of the week. We're answering your questions as they come. You got questions, we got answers. Some of them might even be good answers, but you throw them out there, we'll get you to them. Well, at least Tara and Major will give you some good advice. I just throw stuff on the wall and see what sticks. Let's be honest here. Tara, what's your game of the week?
So I went a little unconventional. It is not what people would be considered to be a game that they're going to get hype to watch. It's probably not going to be a fantastic game to watch. But I wanted to do this game because it is very important to fantasy managers on a lot of ends for players in this game. With Dallas, the big thing for me, I feel like I say it all the time, they're not good against the pass. They're good at creating turnovers against the pass, but they are not good at stopping extreme volume against them. So fantasy-wise, even Dallas's defense is good since they're creating so many turnovers. They're actually pretty usable. They're actually, a good weekly start. But it's all systems go when you're playing against them. So honestly, I feel pretty good about Mac Jones this week as a little sneaky matchup play. I predict that he could have some good volume in the game, score some touchdowns. And then obviously we want to start your boy, Jacoby Myers. We want to go with Hunter Henry as well, who has asserted himself as the tight end 1 in that offense. We are fading Jonnu, obviously, because that has not panned out as many people suspected. And then when you turn on the other end, New England is also a defense that it appears to be a lot better than it actually is. I think Bill gets them up for certain games, but when you look at their defense, it's just better on paper than when you actually look at the stats. If you go back and look at the running back situation, in week 1, they played Miami, who had Gaskin that had 9 carries for 49 yards. Not a lot of volume for him because Miami is kind of crazy and not letting him carry the ball for many games, but he was productive, over 5 yards per carry. Week 2, another sketchy running back situation again, where Michael Carter had 11 carries for 59 yards. Ty Johnson had 12 carries for 50 yards. Tevin Coleman had 5 carries for 24 yards. That's a lot of volume when you put it all together. Week 3, Kamara had one of his better games on the ground with 24 carries for 89 yards. Week 4, Leonard Fournette, 20 carries for 92 yards. They're not good against the run. I predict it will be a huge game for Zeke. I'm starting Zeke, Dak, Amari, CD, Dalton Schultz. It's going to be a fantastic game. You can probably even start Tony Pollard as well as a sneaky start. Really the only people that I'm fading this game are the New England running backs, because if Dallas can stop something, they are good against the run. So more than likely, it's going to be a pass-heavy game on New England's end, trying to keep up with Dallas's great offense. And unfortunately, the running backs, all of them, Damien Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, Brandon Bolden might actually be the most productive out of that group because he's the pass-catching one, crazy enough. So just fade the running backs altogether. So again, big takeaway from this game is that it's just going to be fantasy points all over the board. So invest heavily into the Dallas offense, particularly Zeke. And then on the back end as well, we've got wide receivers that could be a sneaky play for the New England Patriots. Even Kendrick Bourne could be someone that you could get some good play out of.
I like that. I think we're going to see the real effective Diggs brother in this too. He might have more catches than Stephon this week when we look at it. So
a lot of hating
Definitely.
going on right now. What's going on?
Hey,
Tara,
I
you gonna
support the
put some
hate out
respect on
evenly.
my dude Stevenson's name, Tara. I told you already. I'm the running back guru. Come on.
I would like to. I mean, hey, if Damien Harris's injury is significant, it sounds like it's not, but if it is, then he'll be the lead guy on the ground technically. So yeah, I mean, it could be a week-ish for him, but I don't think they're going to be productive against Dallas. So it's not this game. Maybe the next one, but it's not this one. Watch the running backs go off though.
Major,
Yeah.
which game are you watching this week? And are there any running backs potentially going off in this matchup?
Yeah, it was a hard one for me. I went through like 3 different games and I settled with the Cardinals versus the Browns. And I'm going with Kyler Murray. He's doing any and everything he wants to do. Like, I don't want to throw any numbers at you. He just Kyler Murray. He's probably going to be MVP if he keeps playing the way he's playing. And then I'm going to go with Chubb and Hunt. Kind of going to piggyback off of Matt's prediction last week and say that they're going to have a really good game because the Cardinals' run defense is like second to last, if not last. Like they suck. So I think they're going to run the ball a lot, and Chubb and Hunt is going to bring it home. I'm fading OBJ. I don't know what's going on there. Like he's ever since he's got there, he hasn't really done anything. He actually hasn't done anything since his last year in New York. Him and Baker start to have a connection, and then as soon as that happened, Baker throws a ball across the middle and gets OBJ hurt. So I don't know what's going on there. I think he needs to get out, or maybe he just doesn't want to play anymore. I hate saying that about players, but it doesn't look like he's in it, and the Browns have oh wait, my second one is the running backs. I'm fading the running backs from Arizona. The Browns have the second ranked run defense. Edmonds averaging 5.5 yards a carry. He's doing okay. Connor looks okay as well, but that Browns defense is really good against a run, so they're going to have to pass the ball if they want to win this game. My sneaky plays is going to be Rondell Moore. Rondell started off on fire. I think week 2 he had like 14, 15 yards, something around there. And then he came back to earth and has some real pedestrian games. Last week he bounced back with a 94 or 97 yard game, and he, hopefully he'll be able to build on that. And my other sneaky play is going to be Donovan Peoples-Jones. DPJ finally broke out. I've been waiting for this one for like 2 years. And it was only 5 catches for 70 yards. But, with OBJ kind of underperforming and Landry still hurt. I mean, I've been hearing some rumors that Landry might come back. So it may hurt this prediction a little bit. But if he doesn't come back, I think DPJ will be the lead man in that offense. And the way I see it affecting the game, I think it's going to be a defensive game. Both defenses are playing pretty well right now. But the Cardinals' rush defense is really bad. So that's why I think the Browns have the advantage there with Chubb and Hunt. And I think they're going to be the ones to be the little tiebreaker. Both have really good pass defenses, and the Browns have the best run defense, and they don't. So we'll see what happens. But I do like Kyler Murray in this game. I think he's going to go crazy on the ground and through the air.
It'll be an interesting game there. I think they kind of fit each other a certain degree. We've seen how the Chargers move the ball in the air against the Browns last week. And you've got some good receivers there for Arizona that Kyler Murray can do the same thing with. And Kyler Murray's got that ability to move that pocket whenever he wants, which changes the trajectory of every pass. So just because a team may be good against the pass doesn't mean that they're going to be good against Kyler Murray and that passing offense too. So you got the passing offense, I think, of Arizona going against that running offense of Cleveland, and see how this works. I think the big key is going to be what Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt can bring to the table from that pressure aspect, if they can create some turnovers that way. And then again, on the flip side, the best way to defeat pressure is those screen passes, and Cleveland's got a pretty good back out of the backfield that excels with screen passes himself there in Kareem Hunt. Now, for me, you're talking defense. I'm talking about the game of the week that has no defense. I'm not expecting any defense here. It's going to be the Los Angeles Chargers against the Baltimore Ravens. This is good. We had fireworks. We had one team. Absolutely. Like we talked about Lamar Jackson all the way through, like his 502 yards of offense for himself. Absolutely unreal. Justin Herbert, no slouch himself either. He was putting up points and doing just about everything you could possibly do in that Chargers game here against the Browns there, and passing the ball, running the ball. He was doing it all. I think he had 3 touchdowns in the air, 1 rushing touchdown himself. You know, Justin Herbert is the real deal. This is going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. 2 young quarterbacks going at it. You're starting Herbert. You're starting Eckler. You're starting Mike Williams. You're starting Keenan Allen. You're starting all of them. There's no doubt about it. Those guys you're guaranteed to be starting. Baltimore, you're starting Lamar Jackson. You're starting Marquise Brown. You must have to start Marquise Brown every week just because of what he can do in a single play. And with Lamar airing the ball out with that, he's got his average depth of target is higher than it's ever been in his career. That A-dot for Lamar Jackson is a beautiful thing to see, especially when that connection's cooking there. And then, you know, Mark Andrews, you have to start. We talked about this a little bit last week. I previewed it in my Monday night preview about Mark Andrews. Him and George Kittle were the only tight ends in the top 19 that hadn't had a touchdown pass yet. Mark Andrews went out and got 2 of them last week or on Monday night, however you want to look at it. We're on to the next week. So that's last week. So you're definitely getting both those guys in there. Who am I fading? I don't even know if you could fade anyone in this matchup. You know, yeah, you can. Sammy Watkins. Get him out of here.
No.
Never Sammy. Don't you give me that.
What does Sammy ever do to you, man?
Nothing. That's the problem. He's done nothing. It's not week 1 anymore, people. We're in week 5. We're in week 6. Not Sammy Watkins. The answer is don't give me that right now. The answer is not Sammy. Now, here's why. I'm going to go in here to a little bit of depth. Regina goes, can I start Rashad Bateman this week? I think he's a sneaky play. Now, personally, I would like to kind of give him a week to see if he gets in the lineup. If he's in the lineup, I want to kind of see what he can do out there. But when you look at the numbers here, the Ravens had 442 passing yards. 147 went to Andrews. 125 went to Marquise Brown. 35 to Sammy Watkins. Are you kidding me, Sammy? You're not – go. Just go. You don't think Rashad Bateman can step in right away and get 35 yards? He can get 35 yards on one play. Okay, so if it's going, you know, who do I start? Sammy Watkins or Rashad Bateman? It's not Sammy. It's never Sammy. Everyone knows I'm an anti-Sammy guy. That said, I think Rashad Bateman has that sneaky. Man, I can't wait to cut this audio right now just for the facial expressions I'm getting.
Yeah, I'm just like, what?
Oh, here we go. Let's hear it. Yeah, I know what his numbers are.
Oh, here goes some stats. Here comes Stat Girl.
He was hurt. He only played 27% of snaps. Come on. Now we can't be like, he only had 35 yards. He barely played. Come on.
Hurt. The only thing hurt on Sammy's is ego. Okay? That's where we're going to go with that. How does this going to affect your fantasy squads? There is going to be points on the board in this one. You are going to see these teams put up a ton of points. It's going to be a fun game to watch. If you enjoyed the Browns and Chargers game, and if you enjoyed the Ravens and Colts game, you are going to enjoy the Chargers and the Ravens. I'm just going to put it that way. Whoever you've got on your team other than Sammy Watkins, you get them in your lineup, in my opinion. You got to fire them up because there's going to be points galore in here. Now we're going to move into the rapid fire portion of the show. And I use that term very loosely.
Super loosely.
The intention of rapid fire is always there. You know, full disclosure, the intention is there. We fall short of this intention each and every week.
Every time, yeah.
So who are some of the players, Tara? Who's that player? I'm not even going to say players. We're going to try and sum it up here a little bit quicker. As you'll see, I actually dropped one of the questions to combine the two.
You did, yeah.
In this section.
Confused
what player do you need to grab off the waivers tonight, Tara?
You need to grab a Monroe St. Brown. There are other options, but I'm going to let you guys cover those options because I like what you have to say. And I'm going to start off with a Monroe St. Brown. Quintez Cephas is down. Tyrell Williams is obviously still on IR. TJ Hawkinson is playing through an injury. Monroe St. Brown has had 8 targets for the last game, and he's caught the vast majority of them. He's looking great, and I think he's finally coming into his own. We heard great news out of him preseason, and I think this is the turning point for him to step up within that offense.
Question for you. Both players are on the waiver wire. Monroe St. Brown or Sammy Watkins?
I'm not answering you. I'm not answering you.
Good.
I was waiting to boo you right now, too. I have my finger on the button, Tara.
Major, who's that player you're grabbing off the waivers?
I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon. Like, CH is on IR. I've never really been high on Daryl Williams. McKinnon looked good in the preseason when he was with the Niners. I was surprised they let him go. I think that was more of a contract thing, and they was going to go young. But I think he fits what KC likes to do. He likes to throw. They like to throw to the running backs and give them, the zone plays. So I'm high on him. Hopefully he can get in the game. But Daryl Williams is a little sneaky. Every now and then he'll give you one of those good games, but not hopefully, because I don't want to say I don't want to fall out. But I do want McKinnon to like come back. Like, that's a great story. Like, he was out there in Minnesota, balled out. The 49ers backed the truck up, gave him everything he wanted. And then he got hurt. And then he came back and he got hurt again. He came back and got hurt again. He came back and got hurt again. And he just kept getting hurt. So now he's kind of like a fresh start on a good team. And I think he fits what that offense likes to do. So I'm a big fan of McKinnon, and hopefully he can get on board and make the end of the story a little bit nicer. I see Tara about to say something. Go ahead. Just remember around this time last show, you rolled your eyes and all of a sudden my guy got like 80 yards rushing. So what do you have to say?
I don't disagree with you that Jerick McKinnon has a role. No, I just want to point out that I love the consistency of brand here. We've got yet again another third string running back. I love this. You've got
That's what makes me a guru. What do you mean?
Such a brand. I love it.
Anyone can pick like the starting running back. I'm giving you like the sleepers. I'm a deep sleeper guy. I want to help these people win their leagues, especially dynasty leagues. Go pick up McKinnon in all your leagues and thank me later.
Yeah, and then when you see how deep sleeper he likes to get, wait till he makes his bold prediction later on the show.
I hate you. I gotta start making my own separate show sheet. Thank you very much.
Bars in the Tuck is asking. He's going out of left field here.
This is a lot.
My league, full PPR, gives points for return yards, which I like this. Should I pick up Jamal Agnew since he's now getting targets? The Jags D is double up if he gets a return touchdown. So you're double tapping with the Jags D with the DST points that Agnew gets, if I'm understanding that correctly. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of continues on. I have a free spot with Edwards-Helaire on the IR and in hell. It's the London game. You know what? London games always scare me. The teams don't seem to be always there. But here's the thing. Special teams is always there. You know what I mean? If you're going to be sloppy, it's going to be in that kickoff protection type thing. Right. I think Jamal Agnew, I like your thought process here. If you're getting those extra points in return yards and Agnew's contributing on offense as well, we looked at what he did. He actually had more run of the mill there with targets than I think it was Marvin Jones and Visca Chenault. He was getting more target share than the other two. I like that move. I would. You've got that free spot. Why not? Let's swing for the fences here. Tara, Major, agree, disagree?
Agree. I like it.
I agree. Agnew was electric. That every time you touch the ball, it can go to the house. So I'm with you 1,000%.
We like to get these questions in here and answered as soon as they come in, as quickly as we can. Trade Edmonds, I'm going to assume that's Chase Edmonds, for Chase Claypool. So you're chasing yourself here. Two chases here. My wide receivers, Robert Woods, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Jones, Visca Chenault, and my running backs are Zeke, Gibson, and Mitchell. So you're willing to trade Chase Edmonds here for Chase Claypool. I think you're set. Tara, I'm going to pass this to you guys first before
You got it, Tara.
I don't mind it. But I do think Edmonds has been productive enough to maybe get something not better than Claypool, but something a little bit more reliable than Claypool. But I like the thought process of, you look fine in your running back situation. I'm for trading Edmonds for a wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm with Tara on that, but I do like Claypool a little bit more just because Juju was out, and I think he's going to get a lot more of that target share. So, yeah, over to you, Matt.
I agree here. You know what? You've got Zeke there. You're going to get your production there. You got Gibson there. So chances are you're probably starting those two running backs. You're going to move Elijah Mitchell, who has looked like he's at a different speed compared to Trey Sermon there in San Francisco. He's looked like the better back. He looks like the starting back. Yeah, I like the idea of getting Claypool there. I think he's going to give you more production than Visca Chenault and Marvin Jones. So I think really you're going Robert Woods, Cortland Sutton, Chase Claypool, and Zeke and Gibson there in your starting lineup. Now you kind of further this here. Myles Gaskin is on the waivers. Someone dropped him. Is this a guy you should pick up? I mean, the running backs are a dime a dozen right now. There's injuries everywhere. It's mass carnage. You don't know who's going to be available from one week to another. I think if you can add running back depth to your lineup, you probably should, especially if you're considering trading Chase Edmonds for Chase Claypool. If you have another player on your team that you could possibly drop to grab Gaskin, depending on your waiver wire and your FOB and all that other stuff, FOB, we're having this conversation again. I think it's definitely worth an ad. Now, Tara, major thoughts?
Interesting that someone just went ahead and dropped him. I wonder if someone dropped him, maybe someone like Zach Moss is also available, who I think is technically a little bit more steadier than, I would pick him up if he was dropped for sure. Yeah, technically an RB1.
Yeah, I say why not? If you have a chance to get a starting running back off the wire, grab him.
And you know what? He might just be turning that corner. We might be seeing Miami finally using him the way we thought he was going to be used back when we were doing our drafts earlier this year. We were taking him in the 5th round. That's kind of the value we put on him. We didn't get it. I can see why he got dropped. You look at the numbers up until last week. There's a reason why someone dropped him in your league. Now, can he turn that around? It's worth a stash on the bench if you have that opportunity to do so. Now, I'm going to throw another question here at Tara, because my waiver wire guy is a guy I've been putting some bids on here right now. But Tara, Kadarius Toney or Sammy Watkins?
So
wow, you're really going there. You know what? It is Kadarius Toney. I don't know why you're forcing me. You know it's Kadarius Toney. Why are you forcing me to say that?
He's like,
I know what I'm doing here.
You know. He was like aside from Devontae Booker, who, from the whole Saquon situation, Toney was my number 2 in terms of waiver wire pickups. So yeah, it's him. Sammy's not on the list. So
we didn't get Kadarius Toney in the first few weeks of the season, whatever reason. Sterling Shepard was balling out. They didn't need him. They had Kenny Golladay doing nothing, but they had him. He was on the field. They were paying him. In week 3, 6 catches, 78 yards. Last week, 10 catches, 189. I think that might be some sort of rookie record or something very close to what Odell Beckham Jr. did his rookie season. Even when Sterling Shepard returns, even when Kenny Golladay returns, Kadarius Toney is going to have a role in this offense moving forward. Darius Slayton, who was the darling of fantasy as far as wide receivers were concerned last season, because he was having some big games, you grabbed him on the waiver wire, he was playing well. He is no longer that guy for the Giants on that offense. It's going to be Sterling Shepard, and it's going to be Kadarius Toney. Now, the only problem is they both play out of the slot a little bit, which may make things a little bit more confusing. But right now, trust yourself. Go get Kadarius Toney. Get those points while you can.
Yeah, I think you can move Toney to the outside too, and he can get production on the outside as well.
I think so. I think he's a good guy to add here. Obviously, Tara was ready to add him over Devontae Booker, so I just happened to get to the show sheet before everyone else.
Yeah.
Trending up, trending down. Relax or panic. One guy there, Tara. Who you got?
Good question. Who do I have? Oh yeah, it's still Allen Robinson. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, as Major said before, where he pointed out Khalil Herbert. Now, I mentioned it's not that Damien Williams wasn't actually the lead back. I mean, Damien Williams did look fit. I got it right, Damien Williams. That's the right one. Yeah.
No, you got me confused.
Damian Williams did look really good and was highly productive as well. But when you've got someone who you're legitimately, between the two of them, I mean, it was well over 30 total carries, and they were highly productive. Chicago is just going to run the ball. They haven't let Justin Fields throw it for more than 20 attempts. I don't see that changing a whole lot in the future. They've been successful on the ground. I think they're going to continue with it. So yeah, unfortunately, it just doesn't work out very well for Allen Robinson.
Speaking of things not working out well, Major, you're the running back whisperer.
That is so mean.
Who's the player that you're trending up, trending down with?
I'm going trending up with my guy, Ramondre Stevenson. Wait, I don't.
Oh no!
Wait, yeah. Yeah, Harris is banged up, and the Cowboys, they do have a top 5 defense, and it's really hard to run on them. So who better than a 227-pound bruiser to get every single inch that you need to get out of that offense? So I think this is his week. I say it every week, but this week I mean it, and I'm going to keep putting him on this sheet until this guy performs.
I mean, football is a game of inches. And if you're looking for a player to get 1 inch at a time, Ramondre Stevenson's that guy for you.
Oh, my God. Here we go. What's this thing at the bottom here? I can't read that little print.
Random user comment, Ramondre had 11 carries for 23 yards.
But that was in a back row. He really wasn't in the game. It wasn't his, they didn't call his plays. They were calling Damien Harris plays. So we'll see this week. Like I said, Harris, yeah, he most likely he's going to play, but I think he's banged up. So I don't think they're going to run him as much. And I see Tera is just holding back all her hatred, and I appreciate that. But I cannot wait until the celebration when Ramondre just busts out his shell. I'm just going to go crazy.
Well, don't
it's going to be great in 2024. I'm looking forward to it.
Don't worry, I'm going to take a shot here at Damien Harris as well. I'm not going to pump up Ramondre Stevenson here in any way, shape, or form, but I'm going to take a shot at Damien Harris. He had that rib injury early in the game. He exited. He came back, and he suffered a chest injury a little bit later. Luckily, Stevenson didn't do squat with that opportunity when he came in there, that short period. Now, Harris did have a touchdown, but he also had a fumble. You look at his numbers this year, 63 carries, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 fumbles lost. That is not going to impress Bill Belichick in any way, shape, or form. And then you take that he's got 7 catches for 46 yards on the season. He is right now. And Tera, we know this. We took him in the 5th round. We talked about Myles Gaskin a little bit earlier and why we were fading him and everything. Damien Harris is their RB40 in PPR. RB40. 8.6 fantasy points per game, 42.6 fantasy points on the season. It's not good. This is 5 weeks now of Damien Harris that we've been waiting for him. And he had that matchup. Yeah, okay, he was nicked up a little bit, but the Texans were a matchup he should have been able to exploit there for fantasy owners or managers there to get those points needed. And we just haven't been able to get those out of him this year.
One more thing. Ramondre got put into the doghouse when he fumbled in the first game. And Belichick, he hates fumbles. So now Harris is got a little, not a fumbling problem, but he fumbled a couple of times, and that's way too many times for Belichick. So I think Ramondre is kind of coming out of that doghouse, and I think he's going to get his opportunity.
He fumbled, Harris fumbled, JJ Taylor fumbled. I'm kind of getting the feeling that maybe coaching to the point where you're just constantly putting everyone in the doghouse for fumbling the ball might not be the best strategy mentally with your running backs. I don't know, Rojo and Bruce Arians. Are we sure we need to go this direction? But just little comments.
Now, before we move on to our unsung heroes
takes,
do we think that maybe the problem right now is maybe if they took a little air out of the football, they'd be able to secure it a little bit better?
Man, you're doing so well, dude.
Unsung heroes. Who is that player that we need to get in our lineup, Tera? Start him this week. Who's going to carry us to fantasy glory?
Oddly enough, I think that it's going to be Leonard Fournette. He has a fantastic matchup this week against
Eagles.
Philadelphia. And I think that he's just one of those sneaky running back plays where he's just not flashy enough to the point where you're like, oh yes, Leonard Fournette, smash start. But he's going to have enough production to where he's going to be somebody that is going to be a high-end RB2 for you with what he can put out. So yeah, he's somebody that you need to have in your starting lineup, someone that can carry you to victory.
And Uncle Lenny, he balled out last week too. 67 yards rushing, 43 yards receiving. That's a pretty solid game for him. That was basically playoff Lenny stepping up there for the Buccaneers. Now, Major, who's your unsung hero this week?
Yeah, speaking of uncles, I'm going to go with Latavius Murray. They have a matchup against the Chargers, who have the worst rushing defense in all of football, giving up 157 yards per game. Yes, Murray is long in the tooth. I think he's like 31 years old. Especially for a running back. Running backs, I think they kind of cap out at 28. Is that the number? But last year he had like a decent season. He ran for 656 yards, 4 TDs. He averaged 4.5 yards a carry. So I think he still has a little bit more in the tank. And I think with the defense so focused on Lamar, is going to open up some stuff for Latavius to make some room. If not, it's a touchdown dependent play. So you'll get some kind of points out of him.
Is this the Latavius Murray breakout game, maybe? I think he's averaging 3.4 yards per carry right now. Are we going to see against this Chargers team? Is this his opportunity to break out? Or is Tyson Williams going to step up and have another big game?
I feel like they kind of moved off from Tyson for some reason. I don't really know what he did wrong, but it seemed like they feel more comfortable with Murray in the game. So I think they're going to lean that way. And if you're going to break out, I mean, why not do it against the worst defense, the Russian defense in the league,
I agree, but now here we go. I'm going to give you 3 for the price of 1 here for unsung heroes, and they've been doing it all season.
It's called hedging his bet. Don't let him fool you. He's hedging his bet right now.
Oh, it's a full-out hedge. There's no doubt about it. I'm giving you 3 for 1 here.
This is the rapid fire.
Yeah, this is exactly why we call it rapid fire. But I bet you I get these 3 off in like less than a minute and a half. 90 seconds, counted, 106.30. So here we go. Hunter Renfrow, 14.3 fantasy points per game, 18.9% target share. Jamison Crowder, 13.8 fantasy points per game, 20.7 target share. Emmanuel Sanders, 15.2 fantasy points per game, 14.5 target share, 74% snaps. All 3 of these guys are paying off big time for fantasy managers right now. All 3 of them you can start in flex spots each and every week. All 3 of them will carry you on to fantasy glory this week. Boom! Moving on. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Rapid fire, 30 seconds.
And so he's on an auctioneer.
By the way, if you pull that back when you do the podcast, instead of going 1.5 for speed, I know a lot of people do that with their podcast. They go to like 1.5. I wouldn't recommend that for that 30 seconds. That's probably something you don't want to do.
Slow that one down. Some good nuggets in there.
If you slow that down by 1.5, it may be normal speed.
And if you play it backwards, you'll hear a different message.
Well, you have to play it at least 10 times there and get those review numbers out there before you do that.
There you go.
Players outside of the games, we talked about the Cowboys Patriots game. We talked about the Cardinals Browns. We talked about the Chargers Ravens games. Tara, outside of those 3 games, who is that player this week that we need to fade?
Yeah, I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit and say Miles Sanders. You need to fade him for sure, especially against Tampa Bay defense. Fade. That's my brand.
Major. See, look at 30 seconds. Not even.
I can't do it in 30 seconds. I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. Pretty much all the Raiders. I think they're having an emotional week. I think they're going to come out and try to win one for like each other, but the toll of all the pressure and all the questions and all the media during the week is going to weigh in pretty hard on them, and they're going to fade pretty fast. So, and they're going up against a top 5 defense. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be a hard game for the running game at least. But I just feel bad for all those Raiders. They have to deal with this right now, but because they're actually playing pretty good, and this is just gonna like kind of take them off track a little bit. Hopefully, it doesn't throw them off to where they can't make the playoffs. But yeah, man, it's gonna be hard for those Raiders, man. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, you should, because they're so bad they had one less point than San Francisco last week. Now the guys I'm fading here. I was waiting for that. I was trying to buy some time for that to come in. Again, I'm hedging myself here again. I'm giving you 2 for 1 on this one. Actually, I gave 2 because I think Major actually really originally had the Titans game in his game of the week.
I did.
And I had A.J. Brown as a guy that I'm saying you need to fade. You look at every single week for the Tennessee Titans right now, he is not the wide receiver 1 in any single one of those weeks. Chester Rogers, for crying out loud, was their wide receiver 1 week, not A.J. Brown. 5 weeks, A.J. Brown has yet to be the wide receiver 1 for the Titans. Now, I'm going to move into here a little bit. When we talked about what the Bills have been able to do to wide receivers, they lock them up. It's that simple. Well, A.J. Brown, you got the Jags this week, or sorry, my bad. You got the Bills, the aforementioned Bills, who've been locking up wide receiver 1s all season long. Julio's not there yet on the other side. I don't expect Julio to play. That's going to be a problem. A.J. Brown is a fade for me, just like I faded Tyreek Hill the week before. And you know what? You were against Jacksonville last week, and you had 3 catches for 38 yards. I know you're coming back from that hamstring injury, but right now your game is hamstrung. Now, the other guy that I'm a little concerned about is I'm going to take another shot at it. Cortland Sutton. Now, is there a distraction in the Raiders locker room? Is that gone now? Are the Raiders going to step up? They got that huge divisional matchup against Sutton and the Broncos. Now, we like to make fun of the Raiders' pass defense not being very good or whatever reason you want to throw out there. But let's look at the numbers. Let's take a real good look. The Raiders last week versus the Bears. Yes, we know it was Justin Fields. Yes, we know he only threw the ball, Tara, 20 times, give or take. Allen Robinson and Mooney combined for 7 catches for 67 yards. Okay? But wait. We just talked about how great this Chargers offense is, how great Mike Williams is, how great Keenan Allen is. We saw what they did to this amazing Browns defense. Guess what? Mike Williams, Keenan Allen combined against the Raiders, 8 catches, 45 yards. Mike Williams had 1 catch for 11, if you want to put it into perspective. The Raiders have not had a 100-yard receiver against them since week 1, when it was Deontay Johnson and the Steelers who went for over 105 yards. So, yes, I'm going to tell you right now to fade Cortland Sutton again. Maybe he goes off. Maybe I'm wrong, like I was wrong about his ankle coming back. But I'm looking at the numbers here right now, and the Raiders have done a pretty good job with opposing wide receivers so far. It's not the defense's problems right now. The defense has been playing pretty good.
Right.
Now, Tara, who is a player that you need to start? Let's get off this negativity. Let's talk about some positivity. Who's that player for you?
So I feel like I've been positive about this guy earlier in the show. It's Daryl Henderson. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you have to accept that he has been, if you look at it, he has been a high-end RB2 on one less game than the other top backs. So, I mean, he's doing fantastic. He's performing as expected. He's someone who is going to be on the cusp of being an RB1 week in and week out. So, yeah, for sure, especially against a Giants defense this week. Yeah, he's definitely a big start for me.
Major, are you going to keep talking running backs here?
I love the running backs right now. It seems like they're coming on a bit. They started off slow, but now they're starting to pick up some steam. And I'm going with Najee Harris, mostly because he's playing against the Seahawks. They can't stop anything. They couldn't stop an old lady from crossing the street. But Najee looked good last week, posted 122 yards on 23 carries. And again, I feel like all the rookies, running back, quarterbacks, receivers, they're all kind of catching their stride right now. This is the time of the year where you see the rookies start to mature a little bit, and you start seeing those fantasy points come in.
And I'm going to stick with last year's rookie running back that everyone loved, who was absolutely coming out. He fended off Travis Etienne early on the season. Yeah, you got hurt. I get it. Whatever. It's what I'm calling it a victory for James Robinson. Fire him up again this week. Fire him up every week. It doesn't matter. It's always James Robinson season around here. The running backs, they're starting to thin out a little bit. We talked about this earlier. Leonard Fournette last week, 12 carries, 67 yards, 1 touchdown, 5.6 yards per on average. He added 4 catches and 43 yards against this very same matchup that James Robinson's got. Take it a little bit further back. Taylor the week before, 16 carries, 103 yards, 1 touchdown, 6.4 yards per carry. Devin Singletary back another week. Peyton Barber back a week. 23 carries, 111 yards, 1 touchdown, 4.8 yards per carry. Now we go to Devin Singletary. 13 carries, 82 yards, 1 touchdown, 6.3 yards per carry. Moss had 2 touchdowns in that game. Damien Harris, who has not done anything all season, had 23 carries and 100 yards. If you don't think that James Robinson is going to go off in this matchup, I don't know what to tell you. He is a guy you're starting in your lineup. He is an RB1 this week. We'll get on to that a little bit later because you know how I feel. And just some bonus here, just an extra bonus, another 2 for 1. Zach Ertz, Thursday Night Football. Get him in your lineup. Dallas Goedert, looks like he's going to miss this one. COVID IR. You're going to want to get Zach Ertz on your lineup. Plus, the tight end's a wasteland. I literally talked about how Max Williams was the tight end 13, which accumulates to the wide receiver 55 going into the week's matchups here. So just to kind of give you an idea, tight ends, not a good position to be. Zach Ertz, you can do much worse. Okay.
Oh, that's so much for our rapid fire. Let me give you a little bit.
A few moments later.
Why Najee? He's the starting back, not the third string. Ooh, someone watching the show.
Someone's coming for me. I will hunt you down. No, yeah, I mean he hasn't really been performing. If you look at his numbers, like last week was like his breakout game, and I think from now on he's going to be that RB1 that we all hoped he would be when he got drafted.
Well, I'm just happy that you have Harris above Benny Snell this week, so I'm happy about that.
You wrote that. Wait, put that back up again. Who was that name? That was that was you, Matt. Who wrote that?
That's proper English. What makes you think that that's me? Look at how that's written. That's proper
English. Dynasty Viper Network. That's you, my friend.
It's got a comma. It's got a question mark. It's got a period and another period.
Well, you told your wife to write it or something. You had like your kids.
Way too much punctuation for me, my friend.
That is true.
Too much punctuation.
I got to figure this out. This is what I got to figure out for the week now.
Well, what else we need to figure out? We need to get to some bold predictions here. Tara, kick us off with something bold.
I got majorly
sandwich. This is going to be a bold prediction sandwich with Major's prediction being basically the lettuce. Go ahead, Tara.
I got majorly burned by a rookie quarterback, so I'm like, okay, apparently I want pain again. So my bold prediction of the week is with Mac Jones. Please don't let me down, Mac Jones. I don't want to lose again. 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Can you do it? Everybody else has done it against Dallas. So Mac, what's your excuse? Let's go. Bold prediction.
I like that. That's bold. I seen Major's eyes light up like he couldn't believe it. He's like, is this a math prediction? Like that's a look that Major literally had right there. So I just want to, I got to scroll up here. Hang on a second. I got to find these comments here. We had, okay, hang on a second. There we go.
Here we go.
Okay, Major, what's your bold prediction for the week?
Man, the comments are killing me.
Mine is going to be Chubb and Hunt. Both are top 10 running back versus Arizona.
That is bold coming off of both of them being top 10 last week. That is bold.
They were top 12 last week, very much.
No, one was 7, one was 9. That's top 10.
Oh, well, let's say I'll double down. I'll say they'll be both top 5 this week.
Okay, there we go. There we have prediction shamed them into going to top 5 for both.
This is like the second time. I'm getting peer pressured a lot. I didn't do it in school, but it seems like you guys are kind of bullying me into stuff I don't want to do. It's not that.
Oh man.
I love it. I'll accept that one now. Mostly because I basically said they'd both be top 12 running backs last week. Both would have a touchdown each. Both would have over 100 yards. I thought that was bold.
It's crazy to do all the stuff you do. Like you try to lose. I think you want to have the worst record.
Bob helped us realize it's not even a bold prediction. It's like commonplace.
Yeah, keep your comments to yourself, buddy. Just go and edit some
Facts.
pictures or something. Make some
Also,
logos.
we have no idea. Like I said, full disclosure for those that are watching right now, Bob could be completely making these up, and we would have to believe him as being reality here because I'm not going to go back and fact check after the show.
I know Tera will. We know Tera will.
You know what? Tara was probably the one that sent him that text like, hey, send this here. And yeah. Anyway, my bold prediction. We all have our guys. And my guy for a couple seasons now has been James Robinson. This week, he's going to have 125 or more yards rushing, 45 or more yards receiving. He's going to score. He's going to be a top 6 running back this week. Top 6. He's going to meet all 3 of those criteria there. Every single one of them. Dude, I'm putting numbers to it. Kareem Hunt could have like 3 touchdowns for 3 yards and be a top 5 running back.
Hey.
That's not bold. That's not.
You just said 2 seconds ago that it was pretty bold after I was changed to top 5.
I'm predicting like 170 yards of scrimmage here.
You can't predict shame me and then like predict shame me on the predict shaming.
I believe I just did though.
Can
we rewind this back and fact check that? Because I think I just But yeah, that's 170 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown for James Robinson this week.
Nice.
Interesting. Very interesting.
If you're looking for those advanced stats,
it's Tera Stats. That's
if you're looking for all those stats that we're pulling out here, if you're looking for shares, touches, you name it, you're going to want to head over to fantasypoints.com. Enter promo code 21Vipers10. Get 10% off that subscription. And right now, we're a quarter of the way through the season, a little over now. They've actually brought that price down. So you're going to get even more savings by subscribing to fantasypoints.com. Check it out. See what it is. Give the website a tour. Fantastic stuff there. Great articles every week, especially if you have that analytical mind. They've got a little bit of something for everyone in there. Little film, little analytics, you name it. They got it. Head over there. 21Vipers10.
Hey, Matt,
yes,
what's that promo code again?
That promo code is 21Vipers10.
There you go.
There's a screenshot. So, yeah, with that being said, this was our Week 6 preview here. This is episode number 95. You name it, we got it. Don't be afraid to jump in the comments. Get those questions in there. We'll answer them as they pop up when we get an opportunity to do so each and every week. We appreciate you for joining us, as always. And even if you have comments, questions after, hit us up on Twitter. We definitely will hit you up back with the best kind of information that we have to allow you to make the best decision for your lineups. With that being said, this has been the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast, powered by the Fantasy Points Media Group. Till next week, catch you later. Yay! I hit the wrong button again. That's all right. We'll try